You know, if you own or you operate a home service company, might be a plumber, might be an HVAC company, could be an electrical, chimney, any home service. You know what you better do? You better get out your notepad, take notes tonight, because we have a phenomenal episode ahead. And the gentleman that we have as our guest tonight, I'll be honest with you, I heard him on a podcast from another friend of mine, Dan Antonelli, a couple weeks ago. And when I heard this story, I had to get this guy on here. And I sent Tommy Mello a note. I said, hey, brother, send Aaron Gaynor a note and ask him, give me an intro to Aaron. I'd love to have him as a guest on my show. And so he did. Aaron texted me back, hey, if you're okay with Tommy, you're okay with me. And that's good. And that's why we're here tonight. So we set this up. So who is our guest tonight? His name is Aaron Gaynor. And he's a gentleman that owns a company in Columbus, Ohio. They're plumbers, they're HVAC, they're electrical, it's Echo, and it is a fantastic. I've looked at his brand, everything else in preparation for this, and he's just an absolutely fabulous guy. So, Aaron, the first thing I want to do is appreciate you taking your time out of your life here on a Thursday evenings, brother. How you doing this evening?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Love to tell my story to hopefully inspire others and learn along the way, having conversations with you or whoever else, So I'm looking forward to it. So thanks for having me here.
Fantastic. Well, Aaron, if we stand back, people can look at what you built today and say, man, look at where that guy's at today. But what they don't understand is the struggles that you've been through to get there, the personal struggles, how it's hit you, what life has taken from you, those type of things, and how you've been able to come from that and build what you have today is simply phenomenal. So, folks, if you're listening, this is going to be a hard lesson because I understand Aaron. Aaron has been through some of the same things that Cheryl and I have been through in life. So, Aaron, appreciate you being here. Let's get started with this. So let me ask you a question. Was there ever a point in your life when you were going through all these different frustrations that you questioned whether you could really make it where you wanted to go, my friend?
I think everybody would be lying at some point if you didn't question yourself during your journey, right? And I think the questions are true that you want to go, you want to build something, and things are going to challenge you. I've always been a believer that the universe is going to test you really, really, really hard to make sure it's something you really, really want, right? So, but yeah, I mean, over the journey, of course, I've had moments like, man, am I going to make it? Am I going to be able to do this? And then I step back, go, yeah, you're going to figure this out, right? You're just going to get to work. You're going to figure it out. So I think everybody has, I don't, I want to speak for everybody, but everybody I know has had some moment where even if they're very optimistic, they have a big goal and do stuff, there's always a moment of doubt sometimes. And that doubt, I think, is actually somewhat a little good because it makes you question things and then pushes you forward, right? Then you knock it out of the way and you move forward. So to answer your question, yeah, I mean, there's always been some level of doubt, but I never had doubt that I would accomplish the goal. I knew I was all in. I knew I was going to get there. I knew I'd get there some way, somehow, and I was going to figure it out because I knew I had the will to do it. And that's really what it comes down to me. My story is more about just having the will to do something.
There you go. So, Aaron, let's tell everybody a little bit. Because, like I said, the title of this podcast tonight, this episode is Going from Busted to 100 Million. And what that means is you're a man that lost it all, Aaron, lost it all. Watched your house go away, watched your businesses, got loans called, all those kind of things. And today, you have a business that's now doing over $100 million a year. That's fantastic. So can you kind of share with our audience what happened? What will take us back to that day when it was all falling apart for you?
Yeah, so I'll give a little backstory to things. So I joined the trades in 1997, right out of high school. I'm a trades guy. I'm a plumber by trade. I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't know what I was going to do, to be honest. I was loading semi trucks at night, and then I ended up at Value City Furniture. I knew somebody that said, hey, I know a guy who wants to get people in the trades. I took a job as a plumber's helper for $7.50 and never left the trades, right? So that got me into the trades. And then in my early 20s, I got my master's plumber's license. And then my buddy and I, like all people that sometimes start a business, you think you can do it better than your boss, right? The old E-myth. So we went off and we said, we're going to start a plumbing business and we're going to do the new construction work that you're paying us to do. We're going to do it for the builders ourselves. And that's what we did. So we grew that business to about $3.5 million. And then everything came toppling down, right? The market changed. The housing crash was on its way. Anything and everything you could think of was just not going our way. We were very heavy into one builder for the majority of our new construction residential work. Could not offset that. There was nowhere to go when we lost that account and lost the next account as they started to just kind of close these things down or try to find other ways to cut cost or pay other people to do it cheaper. And so it just came tumbling down and, just trying to fight through it. So it wasn't like there wasn't a fight. And then eventually there was nowhere left to go. All the doors were closed and the bankruptcy was the only choice. And at that time, one of the supply houses, we tried to work with some of the supply houses and do stuff, but they basically called it in and filed it against us and we had nowhere to go. Right. So that was it. And when that moment hit, it was, I remember sitting outside the building that we had at that time, which we already were behind on rent on, all the things. And I was just sitting out there. I remember getting the actual real file paper and the attorney telling us, and I went back to that building. And I remember just sitting there thinking, it's all over. It's all over. Everything that I've been trying to work towards to do from where I came from to where I was today, it's all over. Right. And just, I can envision sitting in my car at the moment before I had to turn my car in because I had to give it back because it got repoed. Right. Is that, looking at that building, I can envision it right now and be like, that's it. It's all over. It's done. I had to go tell all the employees that there was no job anymore. There was nothing here. We had to close. And I'll tell you, that was a painful day.
It's very painful. And you know something, when Cheryl was listening to your interview with Dan Antonelli, and I want her to ask this next question because you brought it up today, Cheryl, when I asked you about this. Ask the question that you said about what turned him around. Do you remember what you told me earlier today?
Yeah. The main thing I took away from it, maybe because I'm a mother, you took away your son. That was the reason, in my opinion, through that whole podcast, that you went into this. You went for it. You went 100%. And if I'm correct, I would say it was your son.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I tell the story because that was kind of the catalyst moment. I was on the couch in my mom's house sleeping. I was, what am I going to do? How am I going to figure this out? Where am I going to go? I guess I could go. I mean, I could go get a job being a plumber. I was a good plumber. I knew how to do work. I get it. But it's just like, there was nothing wrong. I love being a plumber. I love the work. I love doing the job. But it wasn't like, it just felt like it wasn't my ultimate destiny. I wanted to do something through the trades. I always felt a little entrepreneurial in its own way, I guess, for lack of another word. But holding him up and just looking at him and just saying, this ain't gonna be your life. And I used that as my purpose, really. And he was my purpose. And I just got up and got to work. And every day, ever felt tired, felt wore out, felt like there wasn't going to do it. I just always remember that day, and nothing would stop me from that moment forward.
And that made me feel good because I was left with a 4-week-old and a 4-year-old and no bank account. He took it with him. And you have nothing else to go for but your child. That was my opinion. I had to feed them, and here we went. And I made a 22-year business out of it. But that's what I admired most. Actually seeing a man do it. I can understand that didn't come out just right. But
that's fair. That's very fair.
Back in my days, men worked. They didn't take care of kids. But I admire that. I want to tell you that that's probably the most important thing that I personally got out of this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I mean, it's an important part of my journey is him. And, I missed out on a lot of things, but I worked hard because of what I was able to provide for him later. And we had a lot of conversations about that as he got a little older. Today, we're extremely close. We've always been close, but obviously wasn't always able to be around. But I always found a way to make it there on Saturday to a sporting event, make it to a wrestling meet, all the main things that I could, but also I knew I had to work, right? I had to go do something. And, I guess I was called, I don't know if the word's unfortunate because I hate that word as much, but sometimes you got to sacrifice to get what you want. And part of that was what I knew what I wanted for him and me, 10, 20 years from now was what I was working for. All right. And today we have a great relationship. He's off at college, just finishes. One of my goals was to pay for all of his college, make sure he can go to school. If he wanted to join the trades, you can do that. But that was something that was important to me. Just finished his finance degree at ASU. He's in his master's program right now at ASU. I feel proud to say I've paid for all of it, everything for him to be able to be in a position I never had at his age. And he's a really young, really good, hardworking kid. And he appreciates everything because he saw the whole journey. He just didn't see the outcome later either, right? And I'm fortunate enough that he's gonna intern at Tommy's family office this summer. So it's been a just amazing journey. And I will say that is definitely one of the major reasons why I did what I did. And it's funny that you bring that up a little bit because I was speaking for an event at a college campus a while ago, and then they wrote all these things back to me about what they thought about my speech and the stuff I was talking to them about entrepreneurship. And one of the students, a girl student, wrote back. She goes, "Your story is like a love story to your son." Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's an interesting way. I've never heard it that way before. You know what I mean? Like everything you did was for him. And it was an interesting perspective, I guess. I knew I did it, was doing a lot of it all for him because I wanted to have a better life and do stuff, but I never really thought about it that way. So I thought that was an interesting way to do it. I've never heard it said that way to me before.
Okay. So Aaron, it's all bottomed out. It's all crashed. And a lot of people may not understand this. They take all your credit cards. You remember that first credit card you get when you come out of this bankruptcy and you got like a $300 limit on? Did you go through that too?
Yeah, and I had to actually put the money on it to get it.
That's it. So here's my question. You're coming out of this.
That. I was happy. Yeah. I was like, here's $250. I got $250. Give me a credit card with $250 or $300, whatever it was, right? It's a couple $100. You had to put the money on it yourself. And I was like, yeah.
Exactly right. So here's my question. You come out of this, you're invigorated, but again, it takes money to build. So how did you fund it to get it going when you were coming out of all this? Where'd you get your funding at to do this?
Well, that's a great question. I didn't get any funding. So, I had my sister loan me some money to open a bank account, and her and her husband at the time helped me get like some credit to get a vehicle. So they helped me out. So they gave me a lot there. Other than that, other than some credit support there, like nothing else. I just went to work and I called up all the old builders that I used to do work for, the ones that I had good relationships with. And I said, hey, if you guys can give me some work, I'll warranty all the old work on my own time, anytime, save you money. I didn't have to do that. The bankruptcy was over. Technically, by law, legally, I wasn't obligated to anything with the way it all folded out. But I wanted to do that. And I had good relationships with some of those guys. And I felt like it was the right thing to do. So they started giving me some work. And I didn't pay myself for a long time. I had, I had to pay child support to my ex. That wouldn't get changed. And the state wasn't helping me out on that. So I didn't get paid personally for a while. I just was working. I lived at my mom's house. I got enough to get some food and I went to the jobs. I'd come back. I'd count the fittings out. I remember the guys over at Car Supply that I knew, Bud, the old owner of Car Supply. He was very generous. He lost money in that bankruptcy too. And he was just a great, great person. He could see the work ethic in me and he knew I wanted to do it. I'd come in and count fittings and bring them back every single day. And they'd give me credit back at the end of jobs at night. So it was all just like really scrappy, trying to survive. Sometimes when you ask that question, like sometimes I can't even remember it because it's just like, if that makes sense, you're just doing it, anything you can to basically survive and work and grow the business. And, it's a wild kind of reflection when you try to think back and it's like, I just did anything I could to basically make ends meet. And it just took years. I mean, it took years. You have bankruptcy stays on you guys know, right? It's 7 years. So it's really hard to get anywhere with any credit. Nobody was just going to start handing things over to me. Nobody was going to fund me. I had no family that had money. Right. So for like 7 to 8 years, I didn't make probably more than like $60,000 a year tops, working in my business, trying to grow it, save money, put a little bit more in, get another couple of tools, get stuff So for years, nobody sees that part, right? Those are the long hours, late nights, weekends that I was just trying to do anything I could to do, because I knew that I wanted to become a service business, right? But a service business, you got to be able to advertise, you got to be able to market, you got to do stuff eventually, right? So I just knew I had to save. I had to save every penny and live as scrappy as I could while still making sure I could take care of and do stuff with my son while also just working and surviving, right? So that's what I did.
Yeah, and you're dead on the money because, yeah, it doesn't do you any good to apply for loans because you got this 7-year period that you got to get through. And I can still remember, Aaron, when I got my first car loan coming out of this, I was able to go get a loan, so I was able to go through that. So Cheryl, what would be the next question you would ask Aaron?
Okay, I mean, you went through a lot, but what do you think was the darkest time after you got started? I mean, I'm talking about you kind of got you kind of stabilized off. It don't stay pretty all the way. So was there another bottom that, maybe not a bottom, but was there another low after you had got that drive and got going?
Yeah, I don't know if I had another, like, I felt like that was about it. I've had some low moments in my life for sure. I felt like that was pretty low. I do remember I got a little office space at this place basically kind of on the east side area, south, where is it? Little east side, like east side of the city. It was like my first, like, I felt like I was back. I got a little office space and started working. And I was doing stuff and I was like, cool, I got this place. They gave it to me. I can't remember. I think it was like $650 a month or something. It's like a little small garage with a single office, right? Just for a couple, might've been a little more than that. But I remember having it, and then things were still going really rough and hard. And I felt like I was getting ahead, and I had to give back that office to them because I was like, I just can't even afford to pay this office and the bills here and have the lights and have all the stuff. And then still pay a rent to live somewhere. And I was just working out of my house and I wanted a little place. And I remember I had to give that back. And I felt like at that moment, I was like, gosh, man, I don't really want to go backwards here. But I was like, I guess I'm going to need to try to go forward again. And let's be smart. Let's not try to get myself. You want to save the money. You want to make sure that you're doing this. It's not going to hurt. They were friendly and let me move out of that. And then I went back in. So I'd say that's probably the only other spot where I felt like I felt like I was getting ahead, and then it felt like I went backwards. But after that, it just kind of, just worked. And I just didn't really got to think about it that much. I tried not to think about the downside of anything. I just tried to be optimistic. I tried to think about the future. I tried to think about the next things I need to do to get to that next point. And sometimes I was just thinking about how do I just get through today, to be honest. Like sometimes just like, what do I need to do today to get through today, to get up tomorrow? And how do I get this job done or whatever I have today to move to tomorrow, right? And I mean, a lot of times I was working till 11. It felt like I worked endlessly. I still work endlessly, I guess, but endlessly for a lot of nothing, right? But it was all just building that muscle, working towards it. So I would say I don't remember really having much more. That was a slowdown. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that question before. So to think about it, it's like I kind of forgot about that until you brought it up. That I went forward and then I kind of lost this spot, and then I had to go back, and then I went forward again, and then finally I ended up with a place and just got to work. And then from there, it was just a little bit bigger place to a bigger place to, a bigger place as we built.
I just wanted to ask that question. I want to verify or let you know what I was talking about. I think people look at you. Okay, we started with nothing and we got to this humongous number and we just flew through. And And I think people think, especially when they're looking at someone else, it was easy. Once you got started, it was easy. It wasn't. Doesn't sound easy. It was hard. And you, like you said, you're still working.
Oh, I still work a lot. So, I might work a little less than I did. That is just different work. Right. But, so I think that is part of the journey. And the first, like I call it the first 7 to 10 years was like really nothing. Like, I think people think there's a lot of like this momentum building. I was building all these other skills, lessons learned, saving some money, doing stuff, doing things. And then finally, the momentum started to pick up. I finally got out of the bankruptcy. I was able to get a loan. I was able to start to do stuff. Like you said, get my first car, buy stuff on my own, right? Start to do things. I saved up enough money over the years that now I had some cash that I was able to start to buy and operate, start marketing. So then these things started going in my direction. But I mean, it was a solid 10 years of like nothing. I mean, to be straight, like it was about 10 years. So I'd say 20 years, 7 to 10 of it was really just getting the wheels. And then it just accelerated, like everything, all the hard work for that last 10 years. That's why I said earlier when we were talking earlier, maybe before this, was I think the universe really tests you to say, do you really want this? And there's like a time limit on it. Sometimes, like, it's like, it knows when you hit here and then you finally get there. And it's like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the book, Think and Grow Rich. I've read that book multiple times over and over, and it changed my life many ways. But it's like you're picking towards that goal, and you just, it's like, it's right there. And then you stop. Right. It's like, and then it's just like, it knows you get on the other side. And on the other side, it was like, the idea is like, I remember reading in the book this concept that was like, once you hit the other side, you'll wonder where all these riches have been all your life, but you finally got on the other side of it, right? And then the momentum's in your favor. So, and that's what happened. Now imagine you guys have the same type of thing, right? You worked, and you worked, and then all of a sudden one day it's like, oh, it's like it's working, right? Like it's happening, right? And that's kind of what it came about.
Okay. So you went through a 7 to 10 year period, went through the bankruptcy, got past that, got where you could start getting credit again, establishing yourself, building the business. So once you started that, you must have had an idea of the type company you wanted to build as far as the culture, the leadership, all of those kind of things. What inspired you at this point to go forward and build this machine that you have today?
Well, I knew I wanted to build something. I didn't know what it was yet. And so, but I knew I wasn't scared to work. I've never been scared to work. So I worked and worked. And I just, I think the internet, right? I just started, anytime I had chance, I'd try to get on at night after I was done working, do research. I started, what's the best business books? What's the best this? What's the best? All my extra money was actually spent on like books, and like literally, like I'd buy a book. I have crates of books now, like crates of books now that from all the years of I'd buy books. And Amazon was, I think really getting going, buying book. You buy a book and it ship it to you, right? I was like, this is amazing. Or download a book on audio. So I would get books that would do that. Then I kept reading other books, and I found E-Myth was a thing that I read. I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's what I've mentioned to you guys earlier in this, E-Myth. Then I read the book Think and Grow Rich, and it really changed me. I never had a roadmap. Nobody had ever told me. My mom was always pretty optimistic and was, always had a good hard work ethic and this stuff, but nobody ever gave me a blueprint. I didn't have a blueprint or something to follow. So I read that book, and I'll be honest, I just followed exactly what it said. I had no better plan. Here I am, I'm broke. I don't have anything. I'm like, if this book says it, kind of like people like the Bible, right? It's just like, I'm just going to do it. I don't know what else to do. I'm just going to do it. And I did everything the book said, literally everything. And I still do a lot of it so this day, every morning, and my affirmations or other things. So I know that sounds like kind of like really you just got a book and you did it. It's like, yeah, I did. I got the book. I read the stuff from all these smart people that were organized and put together, and I started doing it. And I think what a lot of times we have this arrogance in life that we know how to do it better, but we've never done it. And to me, it's like, I have no error. I'm humble as humble can be. I have nothing. I'll take anything. If this book is the beacon, when I've asked, when I was sitting there at night saying, I just need direction, God, give me something, right? And boom, right? So I take it and went to work with it. And then the other thing was I started looking around in the plumbing industry going, what could be new? What's happening? What's going on in this industry that I could do different that's not happening? And I found an organization, I think around 2013, maybe somewhere in that time frame. I wish I was a little better with dates. Sometimes I'm not that great with dates. I got to get better at dates. But called Green Plumbers out of Australia. It might have been 13, 14, somewhere in that time, doing droughts. And there's a big drought in Australia going on. And I reached out to them and said, hey, what are you guys doing here? What's going on? And they're like, they're putting on these training. It was all about water conservation, energy, solar thermal, water sense, all the things that weren't happening yet in the economy here. And like water sense is now a standard, right? But so I leaned into all that stuff. I was like, this is cool. This is great. This is like a new innovational space. I love tankless water heaters because I was putting them in new construction and light commercial businesses. So I was like, I'm going to lean in on that. And that was our biggest go to market was we do tankless water heaters and nobody else does. Right. And so I just went in all in on that because I believed in the new technology. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that was one of the things for me. It was being inspired by the idea of this new thing. So I had a roadmap. So when I had my roadmap from my Think and Grow Rich for how I'm just going to do my life and move forward. And then I found something in the trades that inspired me to go about it from a different direction. And I was thinking when I read that stuff about green plumbers and I started thinking about it, I was like, what's it going to look like in 20 years from now? That's what I thought to myself. Is it going to be, a rooter name, or is it going to be something more innovation as modern society moves? And that's when I decided to go with Eco Plumbers.
Gotcha. And that's kind of what I thought you have. With the eco part, I kind of tied it in with the environment whenever I saw that when I was looking at trucks and the coloration and everything else. And that was what I saw as your message in your brand. So Cheryl, what'll be your next question for Aaron?
What impact do you want your company to have past revenue, other than revenue? What kind of an impact?
Oh, I'll tell you what it is. My mission statement on my wall is to build great tradespeople, advance their life, and win big. So I do the orientations every other Monday. All the people we hire come into the building on Monday, regardless where they're going to be working on location. And I go through our mission statement. And what the impact I want to have is I want to build great tradespeople. I want to advance their life, and I want to win big. And the reason why is because the trades saved my life. And so I want everybody to have the opportunity to learn a trade, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical that we do in drain and excavation, to learn that trade that they can take with them and build a life and a career with. That's what I want to do, right? So if they ask me what my biggest impact is, that's what I do. I have a university, I have a school that is all built for teaching people the trade. They're guaranteed a job at ECO when they go through our school and our program. And that is something that I want to have an impact on. I want to have impact. And I was just literally standing in a lot 2 days ago with two guys that worked with me for a long time, and their two sons now work at the company. So, that's the impact I want to have. I want to have an impact in the industry and the trade, but I really want to do is have an impact that people can learn a skilled trade and do something with their life that they might not have had the opportunity. Because I look at the trades welcome me in. I love the trades because it welcomes anybody. It doesn't matter where you come from, what walk of life, what background, what education you have. If you want to work and you want to learn, there's a place for you in the trades. And like anything, it'll give you what you put into it, right? So, and you have people that put a lot into it and they get a lot back. And so that's hopefully that answered the question what you're looking for there. Right. And I'd like to have a legacy in the trades that have an impact in an industry that I think is just very valuable to society. And sometimes I think growing up, when I first became a plumber, I loved what I did, but I say that early on, I felt kind of shameful to tell anybody I was a plumber because I wasn't sure how people would look at me. And then I started being like, I don't care. I'm a plumber. You know what I mean? And I want everybody to be proud to be, I'm a plumber, HVAC, I'm a roofer, I'm a whoever, right? That's what you do. You're a tradesperson. You do good work. You help our communities. You help our society. And you should be very proud of that.
It's fantastic, man. So what was you went through a rebrand? That's what you were talking about with Dan Antonelli. Mm-hmm. Dan's big into rebranding. We know that. He's excellent at it. Yep. What was the name of your company before you became Eco?
So we were Eco Plumbers only. And then we just did Eco Plumbers, Electricians, HVAC Technicians. So we just rebranded the colors, the branding. We went to a word mark. We had a logo that used to have me with like a green wrench and an iPad. It was old photo kind of character. And I told Dan, I said, look, I know you do characters. They're all great. I love it, but I don't want a character. What I want is a word mark. To me, a word mark is more of feels more of a powerful national kind of brand identity if you want to go in that direction. That was my view, right? I'm not saying that it was right. That was just my view. And so I wanted a word mark. I want it to be bold. I want people to see Eco and recognize ECO as that. And I want it to not just be environmentally, because that was some of our roots. What I want to do is transition that. I want to bring those colors along, but I want Eco to actually be about innovation in home service. I want it to be an innovative company that's moving forward into innovation, into modern living in the future. And even when I thought about Eco before, that's why I started with the Eco name and did that. But I was really much, I like the idea of what's going on here. But as it evolved, I knew almost a decade ago, what I started getting is that I wanted it to be all about innovation, right? And as we've done that, we went on to iPads in 2010 before anybody really probably was doing it. I bought them and people were like, my plumbers are on iPads. It was like one of our things like, this is cool, right? Then we got on Service Titan, I think 13 years ago, maybe now. And we're on Service Titan. Ara was my sales rep, right? And so all the way through to that. And then we just keep moving along with technology. We use MeasureQuick. So innovation is kind of in our DNA. And that's kind of the rebrand all the way through. And we were bringing the other trades in because we were only plumbing. We were plumbing and drain only. And we wanted to do a rebrand to bring in HVAC and electrical. So all of that had to happen to make that happen. And then as I was thinking about the future of like, what does a brand look like in a marketplace versus just a name like Eco Plumbers and the logos and the stuff, I wanted to have something that was more enticing, more brand recognition, like as we thought about going from 40 to 100 million.
Gotcha. Understand. So your rebrand was not a name. Your rebrand was an image. It was colors. It was the logos, all that kind of stuff. But you didn't change your actual company name. You were still Eco as you were before.
Yeah, so, we were Eco Plumbers. We just wanted to play off that. We wanted to stay with the idea of plumbers, the people that do the work. Eco Plumbers, electricians, the HVAC technicians. I wanted to stay in the idea of the people, recognizing the people that do the work, not be, eco plumbing and heating and cooling and all that. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that I didn't want that. I wanted to be the tradespeople. And so we wanted to follow that same iteration through. So yeah, no, it was not a complete name rebrand at all. We were still Eco. We didn't want to confuse people. We just wanted to rebrand the view, the vision, the logo, the trucks, all of it to be more modern and fresh as we've looked into the future.
Got you covered. So if you hadn't done that rebrand, where do you think you would be today if you had not gone through the rebranding process?
Well, I give a lot of credit to the rebrand. I think but people need to have a misunderstanding a little bit. Like you can have a great brand, a good looking brand, you got to still do the work, right? Like, so I think the branding helped us keep our identity and connect to our future. Right. I think that's what people like understand is like it allowed us to still keep the eco identity of Eco Plumbers and then connect in HVAC and electrical. I think it would have been confusing with the way our brand was before to be like Eco Plumbers. And then we would have been like we do. And then we were going to be like we had this brand like Eco Plumbers. And then we started doing like heat, HVAC, plumbing, drains, like all underneath. It was like it's one of those like kind of halfway put together identities. And I don't think that we would have been as clean as we were today, as recognizable as we were today. I mean, we had a $40 million business without the brand, but I don't think that we would have been able to keep building the catalyst into the future the way we are without a rebrand image that aligned with who we were today.
Gotcha. Cheryl, what's your next question?
Okay. So if somebody went through what you went through and you had to sit them down and they point blank, just look, what do I do first? What's first?
I think the first thing is you sit down and you write down, what do you want out of your life? And then you go to work. Mm-hmm. So I think that was the catalyst. What I wanted for my son was a better life, right? We know that part of the story. The other part is I wrote a definition of purpose in life, and then I went to work. And then never look backwards. I wrote it. I still have it. I look at it. I present it. I look at it, and I just go to work. So if you don't have a purpose of what you want, do that first. And then second, have a target goal. Where do you want to go to and why? Why is it important to you, right? Like I hear a lot of guys these days, you throw around the 100 million. I've been saying it for, 15 years and I'm no hate on anybody. Sometimes I ask them, why do you want it? And a lot of times I think they just think they need to say that now because that's the new benchmark in home service, right? 20 million. If you had 20 million coming up, like you were the king of kings, right? Like it felt like back in the day. But now it's new benchmark. But sometimes I think they just want it because they think that's what they should want. I wanted it for the fact that I wanted to achieve something that I knew already that less than 1.00% of people have ever accomplished in American history, to go from 0 to 100 million. I wanted to be one of those. I personally wanted to own and operate $100 million independent brand that I built myself with my great team and people around me. I never built anything by yourself, but I built. So I wanted that. I wanted it for my future, for my son. I wanted that. I knew those are the things I wanted. So I'd sit them down and say, first thing is get this paper, get this pad, and write down what do you really want and why. And now you can go to work.
Yeah. So, Aaron, I'm a big systems guy. I'm a firm believer in SOPs. We got a mutual friend, Al Levy. He calls them manuals. I call them SOPs and all that. How important is it to have systems in your business to make it operate at the level that you want to operate? Because I'm heavy into this one, brother. I mean, I've written 2 books on systems. I got a quote in Tommy's training center that I actually came up with about the 3 reasons for every mistake. But how important it is, in your opinion, for you to have a company that has systems for these people to operate to every day?
Well, I mean, I think, it's impossible to operate a business without systems. Right? I mean, I'm going to say it's impossible. People do it. It's impossible to scale a business without systems. How about that? Because people don't know what your expectations are of them without some model or systems without it, right? So very important. I mean, we have systems for everything these days, and there's still things that we could do better at. We have, we have a system for how do we generate our revenue? What's our go-to-market revenue system? This is what we do. This is how we operate it. This is how we run a service call, right? This is exactly how we run a service call. We train everybody on how to run a service call. This is exactly how we take an inbound call and how we book it. And then what do we do and how it moves to dispatch and how it goes through system, right? So there's systems for everything in our business. So systems are very important. Now, a lot of people have a lot of SOPs and systems and they don't really follow them. They do them. So, for me, I was a Nexstar member. I joined Nexstar. So Nexstar had a lot of systems when I joined Nexstar years and years ago. And to me, I just did exactly what the system was. I didn't think that I was better than any system that Nexstar gave me. And I remember my business coach, Jim Hamilton, who I believe is just a legend to me. He would just give me the stuff and I would just go to work. And he would always just say, you just do it. I was like, I'm just doing it. I haven't earned the right to change any of these systems. I can't innovate your system. I haven't earned the right to do anything. And I think people want to tweak stuff too much and act like things are too unique or they're special. And there's just not that much special stuff to do in home service, to be honest. Just do the things that work and just work that process over and over and over. And I think that's what we do. So yeah, I think systems are super important. You can't scale without systems. I think you know that. I think everybody kind of should know that scalability is not achievable without systems.
Got you. Cheryl, last question. What would you ask Aaron? Your last question here.
Oh, I got a whole stack of them. But one I think that a lot of people need to hear. At what point did you stop working in the business and start working on the business?
So, great question. I go back and forth on this one too, because you need to work on the business. And I've always been an in the business person. Like I went to the plumbing meeting this morning and was in there with the plumbers at the meeting this morning. Right. I go to the training. I work there every single day. Right. So I like being in the business because I like the pulse of the business. I like to walk the lot. I like to be around. I like the vibe, right? I love to be in it. Like it energizes me, right? To be around and in the business. But then you got to step out of it so you can think about it. You can, you plan, you can assess, you can understand and learn. You need to step back and reflect, right? I think reflection is so important. You can't be in the business and reflect on your business. So I think there's stages in the business, and actually something I'm going to do at the vertical track next week is I'm doing a speech there, the stages from 0 to 100 million. And I think that, there's areas where you just have to be able to pull yourself back up to actually be the visionary, if people know that language, or the CEO or operator. You got to be able to step back out of the business and work on it by drafting out org charts, SOPs, talking with your team, thinking about marketing, thinking about strategy, right? What's happening with your service lines. So you got to be able to pull yourself out of it so you can spend some time to work on it. Is there a perfect time? I don't know. I think a lot of times you have that 5 to 10 million stage is where people need to start to pull back a little bit. It's because you start to manage managers around $10 million in your business. You're really starting your real first. I have managers, I'm managing managers. I'm not just a manager with my managers a little bit. You're starting to become managing managers. So I think at that point is when people start to step back. But I think you should start doing it anytime, because you should start planning and moving out of your business when you have the opportunity to think about it. So I don't know if there's a perfect time. There's just a time that you need to know when to do it.
Yeah. So Aaron, I've heard you mention E-Myth. I've heard you mention Think and Grow Rich. I've heard you mention your business coach. I believe you said his name was Jim Hamilton. Was I correct on that?
Yeah, Jim Hamilton.
Who have been some of the other people that you've actually networked, have been mentors to you that inspire you with their words and their actions? And not their bull crap, if you understand what I'm saying. The people you could really count on.
So I had Jack Tester, the president of Nexstar, was huge for me too. Great relationship with him. He's actually on our team now. Dave Geiger over at Horizon was a great person to me. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him or know who he is, but he's an old plumber from Philadelphia. I remember talking to him when he was the guy way up out in front of me, and he was always very, very kind and generous to me. He talked to me. If I text him, he'd talk to me. So those are some. And then I think I just tried to spend the time all the people that I didn't. So when I'm a poor, broke plumber, nobody want to talk to me, right? So, only people that would talk to me were the pages of these books of these great minds that I could get access to, right? So that's where I just learned. Tony Robbins was good for me. I mean, actually sitting right here is a Tony Robbins book right next to me. I went to Tony Robbins events. I listened to Tony Robbins books, like just to get that personal development. I used to love listening to Les Brown for motivation, like Les Brown audios. I mean, I would listen to Les Brown on repeat sometimes to get my head just moving in the right direction, right? So, and then many other people. So, but I would say, people have always asked me, like, who is your number one mentor you went to? I don't know if I ever had one, right? I had a lot of people, I think, that helped me and inspired me, and I appreciate them, but I never had just like the one person. My business coach, Jim Hamilton, was super helpful to me. I think Nexstar Foundation and all the people that I got to meet through Nexstar when I joined, that people let me visit their shops and locations across the country, just super open industry, did a lot of stuff. I got to become, close friends with Tommy years and years ago, before him or I were we were on our track, but before we are where we are today. So we got to share and do a lot together. So he's been just a great friend and person to do. So there's just so many people in different avenues that have collected the information, but I wouldn't say that there's ever been like, this was the one inspiring person for me, because I think there's many, but many of them I appreciate and have helped me over the years. So hopefully that answers the question, because I can't just say it's one thing, right? Because there's so many.
You answered it very well. It was an assortment of people. Sometimes somebody will say this magic person.
Yeah.
I may have went to Zig Ziglar. I may have went to Les Brown, whatever. But, you have a well-rounded, to me, you're a sponge. Would that be correct? I think you soak up information and cycle it through your brain. Would that be a correct assessment?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
I'd say so. Later as life went on, I'd take stuff, listen to it, and then I just go to work with it, right? And then I listen to people, go ask questions, learn from them, and then go to work.
Okay.
And I love to learn. I think you have to always be curious in life. Even today, I'm trying to be more curious of what I don't know what it's like to be. I've never ran $100 million business until today. Okay. I don't know what it's like, right? So I need to now evolve myself from what is to $100 to $250 million if I want to survive. If I don't, I won't survive. So I have to now reinvent myself again. So I think reinventing yourself through different chapters of different people and networks and people you meet is super important. I'll need to reach out to new people that are doing this above me or done it differently versus the people I had before if I want to go. And I think that's the hardest part of this journey sometimes for people. And I'll talk about this on the thing I do before, is like, not everybody's going to make it with you as much as you hope they will. And you have to understand that journey. Doesn't mean you can't love and appreciate them. It can't mean you can't give them opportunity. But if you want to keep inventing and reinventing yourself to wherever that mission and goal is, some people don't want to go that far with you. They only want to go here with you. So you have to be open to that. And then you have to go find the people that will keep growing. So I think that's important through this journey. So I'm on the mission now, is like, who and how can help me understand that I can learn from and share and teach while I go. That's why I do these things, right? I want to share what I've experienced up, but I'm reaching up still. I'm not done. So I'm reaching up still to go learn more so I can do more for the trades and for myself and the people around me.
Okay. So if somebody were listening to this, Aaron, and they're up against the wall. We've all three been through this. We've been against the wall. We've lost our homes. We've lost our business. We've had to start over. So if there's somebody listening to us right now that's facing this type of adversity in their life, what would you tell them?
That I think everybody has the will to do it in them. I think everybody has the will to do it. I think it's given to all of us. You just have to connect with it. And once you connect with it, you can go. So I just think that you have it in you. You doubt yourself, quit doubting yourself, go to work, reach out. If you listen to this podcast or listen to anything like this, you obviously are already in the direction, right? Why would you be listening to this if you didn't feel that you had the opportunity to do something? You're wanting to learn, you're wanting to connect. So just go for it. You have the will in you, just do it and get to work. I know it sounds simple and easy, but sometimes it's really that simple. Believe in yourself, go to work, write down the purpose and get to work. And you have it in you. Every one of us have it in us.
Okay. Aaron, you're an extremely inspirational person. You have accomplished great things, but I'm going to tell you this, you haven't reached your potential yet. I can see you going to tremendous heights. And I recognize, Cheryl, what do you think after listening to Aaron? Don't you see something in this guy that's unreal?
I've always been a great judge of character, and I want to see, I hope I'm here long enough to see you at the top.
I'm serious, man.
I appreciate that.
You know, I don't know if you know him. There's a guy down in Texas. I worked with some. His name's Billy Klein, Billy Doorman Klein. Do you know Billy?
I know Billy.
Okay. I went to Billy's. Okay, you know Billy. So I went to Billy's place.
Yep.
He hired me to come down and do a waste study. And I go down there and I'm sitting there and listening to Billy for 2 days. And he's just such an inspiring guy. And, you know, he takes the chances and do all these things. He's fantastic. We actually interviewed him on here right after I was down there. But my friend, I see you're going to inspire a lot of people. And folks, watch this guy. If you get an opportunity, he's doing some speaking, going to be a vertical track, you said, next week. Yep. So, hey, listen to him. I think he has something that I think he can put an inner power into you. So, Aaron, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for the time you've taken out of your life tonight to spend with us. Your message has been phenomenal. I think it'll inspire people. We'll be circulating this on our social channels. It'll be boosted out. So hopefully we get a lot of people listening. Usually we get 20, 25,000 a week. So hopefully we'll get some people. And I think you're really going to inspire people, brother. So good luck to you, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And thanks for letting me tell the story.
Hey, you got a great story. You need to write a book about it, bro. You need to write a book, okay? So anyway, this is Jerry Eisenhower, Cheryl Eisenhower, with our guest this week, Aaron Gaynor of ECO in Columbus, Ohio. We appreciate you joining in. It's been an honor. It's a privilege. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to you every week like this. So check us out next week on the next episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. We're here to help you in any way we can. Reach out, let us know. We're CVC Success Group. We're ready to help you if we can help you get to your business dreams. See you next time.